Alright, in these next three videos, obviously I'm starting out with this TERF who might be a useful idiot for the Nazi and, like, fascist shit that's going on in America with the anti-LGBT movement, but even if she's not meaning to, she very much so speaks to very problematic people and organizations that we will find out in a few seconds. And this will lead to not just what she is advocating for in terms of the anti-trans thing, like the bathroom stuff and the sports, but this will lead to the next article, which is basically just chess being a thing that's now worthy of banning people over. Like, this is not just about sports anymore. And then after the chess one, I think I will sort of I'll have to be reaching a little bit with the third article on this list. Alright, here goes, guys. Kelly J. Keane Minshall, also known as Kelly J. Keane, and Posie Parker, is a British anti-transgender rights activist and founder of the group Standing for Women. She describes herself as women's rights activist. She has used billboards, posters, stickers, and social media to promote anti-transgender rights messages, and has held events in the United Kingdom and the United States, Australia, and New Zealand that have been protested against by supporters of transgender rights. Alright, biography. Keane Minshall opposes laws and policies that allow transgender people to be legally recognized as their gender, the use of public bathrooms for transgender people according to their gender, their participation, transgender people in sports that align with their gender, and drag performances, including in locations that may be viewed by children. She also opposes the use of puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy for transgender children. Keane Minshall is also a special advisor to the Women's Liberation Front in 2023. The New Zealand Herald describes Keane Minshall as, quote, a key figure in the movement against UK's Gender Recognition Act. Wait. Against it? So is this before it was reformed? Like, what? Against the UK's Gender Recognition Act. But in the last video we just read that, okay, so she must be talking about the version before it's amended. Alright, that's confusing. Billboards, posters, stickers. Keane Minshall is credited for popularizing the term adult human female to define woman, which she began to promote in 2018 on billboards. Oh, now Matt Walsh, I think, took that. The term is associated with gender-critical feminism. In September 2018, under the pseudonym Posie Parker, Keane Minshall paid the advertising company PrimeSite to place a billboard poster in Liverpool with the text woman, noun, adult human female, telling the BBC it was in response to the support expressed by Liverpool Mayor Joe Anderson for the trans community. Keane Minshall said that she was concerned the word woman was being appropriated to mean anything, and that the poster was intended to, quote, start a conversation about women's rights. The PrimeSite removed the poster following a complaint stating that it had been, quote, unaware of the motive and misled, and was, quote, fully committed to equality for all, end quote. In response to the poster, LGBT charity Stonewall noted in their 2018 trans report on violence and hate crimes against trans people that, quote, these are not just statistics, they represent the lives of trans people, which are only being made worse by increasingly frequent attacks in media, online, and in public spaces, end quote. Standing for Women had a digital version of the poster placed on the billboard in Leeds on 19 October 2018, and Kong Outdoor, which owned the billboard, said the sign initially appeared to comply with advertising standards authority regulations, but then removed it pending further investigation after becoming aware of the quote, the controversy around the message, end quote. In May 2019, a sticker stating woman only, this is a single-sex service under the Equality Act 2010, end quote. So this is the amended version? I don't think it has anything to do with that. Okay. Although, I'm clicking on it because I'm curious. Oh. The Equality Act of 2010 is an act of Parliament in the United States passed during the Brown administration with the primary purpose of consolidating, updating, and supplementing the numerous prior acts or regulations that form the basis of anti-discrimination law in mostly England, Scotland, and Wales. Some sections also applied in Northern Ireland. These consisted primarily of the Equal Pay Act of 1970, the Sex Discrimination Act of 1975, the Race Relations Act of 1976, the Disability Discrimination Act of 1995, and three major statutory instruments protecting discrimination in employment on grounds of religion or belief, sexual orientation, or age. Oh. What? Oh. Okay. The Act has broadly the same goals as the four major EU equal treatment directives whose provisions it mirrors and implements. However, the Act also offers protection beyond the EU directives, protecting against discrimination based on a person's nationality and citizenship, and also extended individuals' rights in areas of life beyond the workplace in religion or belief, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, and gender reassignment. Oh, that's good. Alright, where was I? Okay. That was produced by Standing for Women and designed to appear official was removed from Dunby railway station bathroom door after station staff were alerted. Uh, okay, I can see why it was removed if it was just pro, like, anything. Like, I don't see how, like, a, uh, a hardline religious person could, like, a super associate with, like, like a trans identity. You know, it just, at least with the way we've seen religion being lately. Alright. Keen Mitchell denied that the group had placed a sticker in the station and said, quote, we are fed up that the protected category of Sex and Equality Act is routinely ignored and are standing up and saying, we matter too, end quote. On the 27th of July, 2020, Keen Mitchell paid for a poster reading, quote, I heart J.K. Rowling, end quote, to be displayed at the Waverley Station in Edinburgh. Rowling had recently elicited controversies for her views on trans people. The poster was taken down by Scotland wing of Network Rail on the 30th of July, who stated that the poster was removed for violating its advertising guidelines due to its political nature. On the 11th of September 2020, Chris Elston and Amy Ham paid for the same message to be posted on the billboard on Hastings Street, Vancouver. It was blocked out the next day following complaints. Damn. Lots of, like, distractions over here. I mean, obviously, this is, like, symbolic of greater politics that people are throwing their hands over, but it does seem like wasted energy to fight over stickers. Okay. Wait, that's what we're still on, right? Okay. I mean, you can't really remove a billboard so easily as you can, like, see a sticker on a wall, so... in July 2021, Speak Up for Women in New Zealand used the phrase, quote, adult human female in billboards, which were removed following complaints about transphobia. Alright, so this is literally, like, potentially genocidal propaganda, so it's not just, like, something to hand wave, but it still does seem so insignificant. Like, it's just so annoying that it's not, you know? Like, all this is, like, symbolic and how they're fighting over this shit, even if it's not, like, blood in the streets. Hello Print, the company that had produced stickers, t-shirts, and other merchandise for Keen Mitchell over 5 years, announced in February 2023 that it would no longer fill orders for Keen Mitchell, and, quote, if we had been fully aware of her beliefs earlier, we would earlier have refused to print her for her. Yeah, probably. Okay, social media. In 2018, after a complaint from Susie Green, then CEO of transgender charity of Mermaids, Keen Mitchell was interviewed by West Yorkshire Police for suspicion of malicious communication in relation to tweets made by Keen Mitchell. In 2019, Keen Mitchell said she was interviewed by Wiltshire Police for suspicion of harassment due to two YouTube videos she had produced that directed criticisms of Green for supporting her daughter's transition. The 2018 case was closed with no further action. In May 2018, Women's Place UK, an organization that opposes gender self-identification for trans people, announced that it had disinvited Keen Mitchell from a meeting based on objections to, quote, her stated views on race and religion, end quote. And the 2020 Women's Place UK published screenshots they said were from Keen's Twitter account and since deleted, quote, clarify our own political ground, to clarify our own political ground, stating they had invited Keen Mitchell to discuss the 2018 police investigation related to her tweets, and since then, quote, many of her subsequent connections, statements, and actions have only strengthened our decision to not to not work with her, end quote. Well, makes sense. Okay. I'm more interested in the rallies, to be honest, but I don't know, I feel bad not reading this, so I guess I might as well. Alright. On July 30th, January 2019, Sarah McBride, a transgender rights activist and press secretary for the Human Rights Campaign, HRC, participated in a panel discussion between members of the panel, Parents for Transgender Equality National Council and members of the United States Congress during a visit to Capitol Hill to advocate the Equality Act. Afterwards, Keen Mitchell and Julia Long entered the room in a Cannon House office building where McBride was working and recorded themselves on Facebook Live yelling and misgendering her. Oh, nice people. Jeez. In response to the 30th January incident, an HRC spokesperson stated, quote, it is disturbing, but not at all surprising that the anti-transgender extremist brought to the United States at the behest of the Heritage Foundation would stoop to harassing a transgender woman and parents of transgender youth, end quote. A spokesperson for the Heritage Foundation denied a connection to the presence of Keen Mitchell and Long in the United States and said, in reference to a Heritage Foundation panel discussion attended by Keen Mitchell, and that the organization had, quote, no contact with them before or after our January 28th event and have zero connections to anything they did afterwards, end quote. She seemed to keep herself pretty, like, under wraps until it was, like, politically, like, convenient to, like, come out as a transphobe, I guess. Like, do people not usually do background checks on people when they work with them? Like, I always thought that was a case. Like, you might initially not know she's a transphobe, but you could just do research and figure it out. Again, unless it's like she's really, like, hid it from everybody. So, that's kind of a shame and embarrassing for the people who cut ties with her. In October 2019, Keen Mitchell appeared in a video interview with Gene Franco's Jerry Epi, a far-right YouTuber who advocates for a white ethno-state in the L'Oahu. You know, that's just, wow. At least that's what he would always say. That's just like a common quote from this guy. Because he has this like weird fetishization with like people with like mental disabilities, and of course he probably goes along with the low IQ thing, but he goes out of his way to date these people and like wants to have kids with them, but he believes in superiority, so it's like some experiment to him. Yeah, it's so twisted. Okay, holy shit. She also has given an interview to Soldiers of Christ Online, a far-right network. Keen Minshall denied prior knowledge of the interview's far-right affiliation. In 2019, Jean Hatchett, a gender-critical activist, expressed concerns about what she described as, quote, right-wing links developed by Keen Minshall in the U.S., as well as her connections to the Heritage Foundation. Written on her blog, quote, I don't care what these people think about trans ideology. That cannot be separated from the things they do and advocate that specifically harm women. Uh, in 2021, Key Mitchell produced a YouTube video about Riddle Maadwe, the director of Edinburgh Rape Crisis Center, who has faced threats of violence that led to increased security at the ERCC and has been the focus of an activist and social media campaign opposed to her hiring because she is a trans woman. Keen Mitchell referred to Wadua as a male CEO. Oof. Okay. This is mainly what I wanted to read, but to get to the sort of. Alright, my next point, rallies, speakers, events, and protests. Okay, in the United Kingdom, a May 15, 2022 rally organized by Keen Mitchell was interrupted by a woman posing as a speaker who took the microphone to say, quote, I just want to say that I am a cis female and I recognize trans women and women's spaces as alright, and I don't think we need to protest that. I don't think we need the vitriolic hate. Trans women are women, end quote. The microphone was eventually recovered by Keen Mitchell after the woman was chased by rally organizers and the crowd booed and chanted. Ali Crew, an activist whose work the speakers stood in front of during the rally, tweeted in response to it, I am greatly saddened that my work was reappropriated like this, and I do not share their views. I promote all human rights, end quote. Jean Mansell said in response that counter-protesters had blocked access to the Emmeline Pankhurst statue. Yeah, okay. Okay. On the 19th of June, 2022, Keen Mitchell and approximately 6 supporters held a rally in Bristol, which was met by approximately 100 counter-protesters by Bristol against hate. Avon and Somerset police separated the groups by forming a line that, quote, while both groups at their times raised their voices, there was no physical confrontation. The right to protest is a fundamental democratic right, and we are pleased to have been able to facilitate both these demonstrations. End quote. On the 18th September 2022, a rally in Brighton, organized by Keen Mitchell as part of the speaker tour, was met by hundreds of counter-protesters. Sussex police reported 3 arrests, including a 50-year-old man who attended the event to support Keen Mitchell and later admitted in court to his assault of the counter-demonstrator. Ooh. At a Standing for a Woman rally in Newcastle upon Tyne on the 15th of January 2023, Speaker Lisa Morgan referred to, quote, the big lie concept, that it was, quote, first described by Adolf Hitler in Mein Kampf. Oh. So I thought the big lie was actually, like, just this good faith interpretation, but I didn't know it had Hitler ties to it. I heard other people talking about it, just in terms of the people being lied to with how our taxes are being done or something. Like, yeah. Um, so I did think I made a video saying that, yeah, the big lie is a thing, though, right, guys? Or something like that. So, cringe. Okay, I get it. And said, quote, the big lie is that trans women are women. Whoa, what? Okay, I'm clicking the big lie, because even though, like, I know that comment had nothing to do with it, but still, oh, damn. I literally didn't know. Oh, shit. A big lie is a gross distortion uh, of the truth, primarily. Okay, do I really care what Hitler has to say right now? I really don't think I do. Okay. Okay. Queer.d reported Keen Mitchell appeared, quote, visibly and audibly in a good mood, end quote, after the speech based on a YouTube video of the event posted to Keen Mitchell's account. Oh, jeez. I'm literally drenched in cringe right now after fucking thinking the big lie was just this, like, normal economic thing that people just, like, knew about by now. I didn't know it was, like, a Hitler thing. Holy shit. Oh, I guess back then I didn't do as much, like, in-depth research. Damn. This was only, like, 2 years ago. God damn. Alright, guys. Sorry, I'm just blown away by my stupidity at the moment. Okay, on the 5th of February 2023, Keith Mitchell organized a Let Women Speak poster protest in Glasgow's George Square in response to the passage of the Gender Recognition Reform Scotland Bill and the Isla Bryson case. Hundreds of protesters and counter-protesters attended, and the counter-protesters were organized by a cabaret against the hate speech. Oh, god damn it. Sorry about that. I just have timers set off. Alright. So this is where, wait a second. There was... Okay, yeah. This is the one that I wanted to specifically get to. But... Oh, man. Alright. You know, I keep wanting to skip, but something just makes me feel like I should continue reading this. Because it's a little good to know. Alright, in the United States, in January 2020, Keen Mitchell spoke at the panel organized by Women's Liberation Front in New York. In March 2022, Keen attended the NCAA Division A Women's Swimming Championship in Atlanta and led a group protesting the inclusion of Leah Thompson. She also appeared on Tucker Carlson Tonight, a Fox News talk show, to discuss Leah Thompson. On the 16th of March 2022, Keen Mitchell was a panelist at an event in New York City titled How Gender Equality Cheats Women and Girls, hosted by Center for Bioethics and Culture Network. On the 16th of October 2022, Keen Mitchell began a series of public speaking events organized by Standing for Women in the United States that were attended to tour 11 cities starting in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles and the second stop in San Francisco, few supporters attended, and there were no counter-protesters nor police at the events. Keen Mitchell said threats from Antifa led her to cancel the speakers for an event in Portland, Oregon. In a video published on Twitter, an attendee at the Portland event was hit in the face with a pie. Oof. At an event on the 24th of October in Tacoma, Washington, Keen Mitchell spoke to about 20 attendees. During the event, about 20 counter-protesters were outside of the plaza, where the event was held. And then, as their numbers grew to about 200 counter-protesters entered the plaza. Pepper spray was used on several counter-protesters. At the 29 October event in Austin, Texas, Keen Mitchell was observed to have protection from armed security guards, and at the 30th October event in Chicago, Keen Mitchell said she had uniformed Chicago police officers escort her through the crowds. Counter-protesters at the Chicago event rallied at Cityfront Plaza. On the 14th of November, 9 people were arrested at an event outside of City Hall in New York City after a confrontation between counter-protesters and attendees. So my guess is that obviously this is just, you're bringing drama everywhere this chick goes, because people that like her and what she has to say and know and might have Nazi opinions that aren't necessarily upfront about it, because she's not like an open Nazi, but she's obviously speaking towards them, and so wherever she goes, her supporters in that area just start to get like excited, and then you get like the people who aren't TERFs, like trans supporters, LGBT rights supporters, and the LGBT community in general, all just in the area too, because of course there has to be some like counter narrative to her being there, as opposed to just her supporters, and all of this chaos just mixes up, and unfortunately it might even make the leftist cause look bad. So yeah, you know, it's probably another case of like bike lock guy, where this dude just walked up behind this dude and hit somebody in the head with a bike lock. Presumably there was a tussle before that, and it was like a rivalry attack, but the dude wasn't doing anything, and this leftist guy just attacks him. So it's bad optics, obviously, but we shouldn't have to believe leftists should just be like non-violent necessarily. It's just because the leftists are the ones saying that the far right is being discriminatory, genocidal, and violent, which is true, but I don't know, any chance we get, or any optical difference from the way we talk that comes off hypocritical, the right will just be like, oh, see, they're violent too, both sides, yada yada. It's so annoying. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Australia. In January 2023, Ken Mitchell announced plans to tour Australia and New Zealand in March. Stefan Bates, an Australian Greens spokesperson for LGBTQIA+ communities, wrote to Immigration Minister Andrew Giles, asking him to revoke Ken Mitchell's visas, and posed the letter online, but redacted her name. What? How are you gonna revoke her visa? I mean, she's a bigot, but I don't know if we should just. That sounds weird. Okay. Stating, quote, I won't be sharing their name because I don't want to amplify their hate speech, end quote. Oh, well, yeah, true. As you bring her along, it seems like the hate speech, wherever she goes, is amplified. Yeah, so maybe that's a good reason to stop her from traveling. I didn't think of that. It's just, still seems, in terms of her just being a figure that gets people excited, it's the people that are excited that are to blame for this, but her ideology, like, you could have any atrocious ideology and just stand there while everybody beats each other up over it. Does that really make the person who's a symbol of the bigotry not at fault in some way? So, okay, I guess I agree with revoking her visas. I do agree now. Okay. A petition also launched on change.org to oppose the visa. By 18th February, the petition was removed because, according to change.org spokesperson, the website, quote, Receiving, receiving a legal claim on this petition in order to comply with Australian defamation law, we were forced to remove it from the platform, end quote. According to A plus rights activist Chris Johnson, who stated the petition there had been more than 11,167 signatures. Keen Mitchell's Melbourne event on the 18th March was attended by a group of at least 30 neo-Nazis organized by National Socialist Network and the leader Thomas Sowell, who were seen. Wait, neo-Nazis and Thomas Sowell? What? 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 Let me. No. Oh, I'm thinking of somebody else. Uh, I thought of that black guy. Sorry, guys. Wow. I am an idiot. Okay. Who were seen performing the neo. That dude even looked like a Nazi too, so not even close to what I was thinking. Who were seen performing neo-Nazi salutes on the steps of Parliament House, and displaying a banner that read "Destroy the Pedal Freaks." Overall attendance at the event was estimated to be about 300 and 400 supporters at the anti-transgender protest led by Keen Mitchell and about twice as many counter-protesters. Led by. She probably denies all of this then, right? Regarding the neo-Nazi presence at the 18th of March Melbourne event, following the event, Keen Mitchell said, quote, "They're absolutely not associated with me whatsoever. Of course. I absolutely abhor anything to do with Nazis. It's preposterous they even exist in 2023, end quote. The Prime Minister, so I feel like I used to think like that. Like, how could this exist in this time? Social justice warriors are insane. But no, we're living this. We're being force-fed culture wars through some means, but it's still happening. People are still we're still on the verge of a civil war. There are genocides hanging over our shoulders. I mean, for the most part, white people are fine though. This is insane. Where the fuck was I? Okay. The Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, later made a statement that included, quote, "In Melbourne on the weekend we saw an anti-trans rally which is really disrespectful of who people are. And then it was joined by a bunch of people who are essentially doing Nazi salutes and slogans. That, of course, should be condemned by all Australians," end quote. Well, obviously, but no. Well, it is 2023, it should just be poof, right? Okay. On 23rd of March, Keen Mitchell held a rally outside of the Australian Parliament House in Canberra, attended by about 30 supporters, including one National Party Senators Pauline Hassan and Malcolm Roberts, and United